Okay, so if you have a look at the grade descriptions on your schemes of work, you will see that you'll be expected to show a personal engagement and a personal response to the issue that you have identified. So for this example, we'll be thinking about culture. The first question you need to answer is why the topic is important to you. So, for example, if you live in Hong Kong and have Hong Kong parents, you could say that Hong Kong culture is important to you because it's very unique and distinct and special. You might also want to bring in the idea that it makes Hong Kong distinctive from other parts of the mainland. This is becoming increasingly important for many people that live in Hong Kong, as Beijing has more political power over Hong Kong. If you are not a Hong Kong Chinese person, you might like to say that you've been living here for a number of years and you really like the Hong Kong culture, and in fact this has become part of your yearly timetable. For example, you are very likely to observe things like Chinese New Year and give red packets of money to your domestic helpers or to elderly relatives. Another thing you might like to think about is your experiences on Quest Week. Bring these into your presentation as much as you possibly can. This could be something as simple as an observation that you've made about a culture and how it is different or similar to your own. Or it could be something more extensive. For example, here we have a photograph of island school students working in the Nepal refugee camp. You might also like to bring in observations that you have made on your holidays. For example, here you will see that many people who have travelled to Chiang Mai will see people selling things in the street while holding their baby. While this is part of their culture, you must question whether or not it's a true reflection of the culture, or is it just commercialisation. So use your observations from your holidays. Think about your family. In this section, it's always good to tell us a brief bit about your family. Where is your family from? Are you a third culture child, or are you 100% Hong Kong Chinese? Your family will probably have been affected by some of the issues that you outline in your essay, or have some knowledge of them. Another good thing to think about is discussing the issues with your parents, perhaps around the dinner table. If you do this, put this into your essay and say that you have discussed these issues with your parents and members of your extended family, and you feel it's important for the following reasons. If you've engaged with the issue and listened to what your parents have said, or maybe your extended families, and your opinions have changed, also talk about this because it shows engagement with the topic. You might also like to think about TV news articles and newspaper articles. Here, for example, Hong Kong culture has become stronger since the Yellow Umbrella movement. Self-awareness. You need to show self-awareness. So you need to tell the examiner a little bit about yourself and how this has affected your attitudes. Certainly, it's a good idea to say that at the start of the process, your attitudes may have been wrong, or only partial, or maybe even biased. If you can show that your attitudes have changed or developed in some way and were better, or more rounded, or less biased from when you started, this is a really good thing to show the examiner. Okay, you might not be richy rich, but you are probably in a very privileged situation compared to most other people in the world. Do recognise this and say that you are making these observations from a very privileged position. You do have an awful lot of money and a huge amount of resources available to you compared to most people in this world. Acknowledge this and say how it influences your opinions. Evidence. You need to consider the evidence. So, for example, if you're looking at culture, a particularly successful country is Singapore. When it comes to making a multicultural environment, this is a really good case study. Singapore has actually prospered because of its multicultural nature and has developed its economy really well. There are, of course, situations in a multicultural society where there are problems and things haven't gone smoothly. A good example of this would be the Ferguson unrest in 2014. So, look at both sides of the argument, look at scenarios and situations where things have gone well and things have gone badly. This shows a balance of opinion and that you are realistic in your research.